I have decided to get rid of a good chunk of my retro video game collection. It was not an easy decision. It's something I've actually been thinking about for months, maybe even over a year at this point. But I think it's time. So in this video, I'm going to tell you guys exactly why I've decided to get rid of stuff. I'm going to tell you what I'm getting rid of and how I plan to do it all. So first up, let's talk about what I'm getting rid of, because this is going to be the big question, right? I have a really large collection. I've gotten rid of plenty of things from my collection in the past, most recently my Sega Dreamcast stuff. I also do have the Sega Pico stuff here, which is going to the new store, but I considered that to be out of the collection a long time ago. But the Dreamcast stuff I got rid of more recently. That was less than a year ago. And that was fairly easy for me because I didn't have a huge attachment to the Dreamcast. I did not grow up with one. But what I am getting rid of, I actually did grow up with, and that's going to be my entire PlayStation collection, being PS1 and PS2. In addition to the PlayStation stuff, there is some other random stuff around the game room that I'm probably going to also get rid of. The main focus is the PS1 and PS2 collections, but I also have a few things I've already picked out here, like this Final Fantasy VII promotional VHS tape. I have a couple like factory sealed games that were just kind of like duplicate, like leftover type stuff from my old Closet of Doom. I have the Sonic the Hedgehog ceramic coin bank, and then I have a bunch of these like Prima and Brady games, Nintendo 64 like strategy guide things. I cleared out most of my strategy guides before, and I just kept the Nintendo Power ones. So I kept these because they were all in 64, but I don't really need those. I also have a Secret of Mana strategy guide, but also it's not Nintendo Power. So I'm gonna look around the room and pull out some other things as well. But like I said, the main priority and the main focus is going to be getting rid of the PS1 and PS2 collections. So you might be wondering, why PlayStation? Why would you get rid of PS1 and PS2 when you've been talking about focusing on completing the PS1 set after you finish Super Nintendo? And that is what I was planning on doing. And it was primarily because we already have most of the hard-to-find PS1 games in the collection, so going after the rest of the set wouldn't have been too difficult. We have a little over half of the set already, and most of the hard ones to find out of the way. But just, if I have to be honest with myself, although I did grow up with PS1 and PS2, and it does hold a special place in my heart, Nintendo has always been my favorite, and it always will be. And I simply cannot fit everything that I want to try to fit into this room. After every single pickup video, I have to put things away. And especially with Nintendo Switch, I just can't fit it all. Every single pickup video requires me to rearrange parts of the game room, and I'm doing this monthly, sometimes even 2 times a month. And it's just a little silly to have to do that. And I've made tough decisions on getting rid of things before, which were easier because when I got rid of like Atari and N-Gage and TurboGrafx and 3DO and stuff like that, those were not consoles that I really ever played much. I didn't grow up with them, so those were easy. But for PlayStation, I did have a PS1 growing up. I played a ton of games with my dad. I had a PS2. Some of my favorite games of all time are on PS2, the Champions of Norath games and Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. Just because I'm getting rid of them from my collection doesn't mean that I won't have opportunities to play these games, although I am not a fan of emulating stuff personally. I think if you want to do it, it's perfectly fine. I just don't enjoy it. But I own a game store. If I want to play Champions of Norath, I can always just get it from the store. We get that game all the time. And none of the PlayStation games that I want to play are particularly rare, so I can borrow them basically anytime I want from the store. That's not going to be an issue. But that doesn't mean that it was easy to decide to get rid of this stuff. It's just, my heart is more with Nintendo. That's what I'm more interested in collecting and building this room to be. And unfortunately, there just isn't enough room for all the Nintendo stuff and PlayStation. So just as in the past, I've gotten rid of all my Sega stuff, all the Atari and everything else. That was purely to make room for more Nintendo and PlayStation, and now I have to make the tough decision to get rid of PlayStation to make more room for Nintendo. And when I got rid of my Dreamcast collection, I decided to sell it all to my friend Cody, who is a co-owner of Pink Gorilla. And I did that instead of just selling it in my own store because we were actually planning a road trip, and it was my way to fund the road trip for myself. And a lot of people think that because I have this big collection and that I own a game store that I'm rich. I definitely am not. Without selling that Dreamcast collection, I would not have been able to afford to go on that road trip. So I assumed that he was happy with the transaction. Obviously, I think that we both were, but I also think that he was probably buying it from me to make sure that we could go on that road trip together. This time around though, I am not getting rid of that collection to necessarily fund something. So I don't have any reason to not just sell it through my own store. But there are a few different ways that I can go about doing that. And I'm still undecided about how I want to do it, right? I can either, number one, just put everything into my store's inventory right now and just start selling it on our website, selling it in person, selling it when we do our Whatnot streams, and just let it all go all in one shot like that. Option number two, which is what I'm leaning towards doing, is just saving everything for when we move to our new store location, which is going to be sometime later this year. We don't know exactly when that's going to be yet, which is one of the reasons why I'm kind of still deciding if I want to do that or not. And then option number three, which I think is also a decent option, is to save some stuff for the brand new store opening and then sell a lot of the bulk and filler stuff now. So as of recording, I am still undecided. If you guys want to leave a comment down below which option you think is best out of 1, 2, or 3, you can let me know. By the time this video goes out, maybe I've already made a decision, who knows? But that's kind of the 3 options that I'm considering at the moment. So what does that mean for the game room here going forward? Because it is a big change, right? Well, a lot of people over the years have told me that I should get rid of stuff from the collection, whether it's get rid of all your sports games, get rid of the stuff you're not gonna play, get rid of all your like duplicate console bundles, even though they're different, different variants, but people argue that you don't need more than one. And people just in general sometimes say that collecting full sets is stupid, whatever it is, but you have to understand that everyone's brain enjoys collecting differently. And the way that my brain enjoys collecting is going for full sets. And it's kind of like an all or nothing scenario for me. So I can't just get rid of like half the PlayStation collection. It kind of has to be all or nothing. But I think that my girlfriend Abby helps to balance that out. Because when we got rid of all of our Sega stuff, she actually kept a Saturn and a small stack of games that she might be interested in playing. And we still have that stuff, but I don't really consider it part of the collection. It's not stored here in the game room, but we do still have it, and she's going to do the same for the PS1 and PS2. We've been discussing this for months now, and she's actually already made a list of the games that she wants to keep. She's going to go through that list and watch some gameplay on YouTube of a lot of these games, and if she doesn't think she's gonna like it, we're gonna remove it from the list and get rid of it. But in terms of like what it means for the game room here and my collection, well, number one, it's gonna free up a lot of space. We have over 900 PS2 games and over 600 PS1 games. So that's a lot of room on these walls that's being taken up by PlayStation that is going to be able to be replaced by Nintendo stuff. And hopefully that's enough room for me to expand the other collections that I'm going after, primarily on that side of the collection where the PlayStation games are. I have my Nintendo Switch and my Nintendo Wii games. And so there's going to be room for those to expand quite a bit. Maybe I can even bring my Switch Collector's Editions out of storage, who knows? But it's not only going to affect the way that the room looks when you see it in the background or you see it in a room tour, but it will affect my pickup videos as well because, of course, I'm not going to be buying PlayStation games anymore. And it's bittersweet. I don't love having to get rid of stuff, and maybe I'll collect it again in the future once we do have more room, but I am excited about the possibilities. So that brings me to my next thing, which is, what am I gonna do after I finish the Super Nintendo set? Because like I said, I was considering and talking about focusing on PS1, but if that's not going to be it now, I only really have a few options because we already have the complete GameCube set, we have the complete Wii U set above the TVs there, and I have the complete N64 set here and the complete Virtual Boy down here. So getting rid of PS1 and PS2 only leaves me with Nintendo stuff left in the collection. So that is either going to be NES, Wii, Switch, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, or 3DS. There's a couple consoles that I think I'm leaning towards because A couple of them are going to be nearly impossible. NES and original Game Boy in particular. Those sets are incredibly hard to finish, especially if you're going for complete in box like I am. So I think that there's one collection on the list there that makes the most sense to go after. It's probably one of the easiest ones to finish. So I'll let you guys guess in the comments what you think it is, but also out of the ones I mentioned, just let me know which ones you think I should do next. We're getting very close on Super Nintendo, and if you haven't seen the SNES Quest videos, there's an entire playlist on the channel trying to finish off that set. I highly recommend you check them out. I think they're some of my favorite videos that I do on this channel. All of the PlayStation signage that we have, the cabinet here, the neon signs, everything like that is not going to be sold. At minimum, I'll use it to display stuff in the game store at Double Jump Video Games, but I'm not gonna get rid of it. So don't worry about that. If you wanna see that kind of stuff in person, you can always come to the store. It will be on display once we move. But I guess for the rest of this stuff, all the games, all the console boxes, the special edition games, the accessories, the Guitar Hero controllers, all that stuff, I guess there's only really one thing left to do.